Next up, we're happy to welcome from Uppsala, the CEO of Nanexa, David Westberg. Welcome, David.
Well, thank you, Michael. So yes, I'm David Westberg, and I would like to present to you Nanexa, a company located basically in Uppsala at the old Pharmacia site in Uppsala. So, well, we're a company working with a drug delivery system that we call PharmaShell. And our vision is to actually become a world-leading company working with long-acting injectables, parenteral products for different indication, and do that by applying our PharmaShell technology to various APIs. It could be either small molecules or biologics as well. So that's the aim, that's the vision that we aim for. And we do that in a market that is growing. Actually, the drug delivery market is growing tremendously, actually, and you will see that in a few slides ahead. But historically, we are from Uppsala. Actually, it was developed from the Uppsala University, 2007 already. And we have some collaborations, some strategic ones with AstraZeneca, for instance, and also now with Applied Materials, one of the largest companies working with the technology that we do, ALD, the atomic layer deposition. And yes, I mentioned that we're working on a market that is growing tremendously, actually, the drug delivery market. And that market is growing due to that. I mean, the pharma companies have harder and harder to actually find new chemical entities, and there is definitely room to improve the already marketed products by adding a product like the PharmaShell technology to it and making a long-acting injectable out of maybe a once-a-day tablet or twice-a-day tablet or anything like that. And we have this drug delivery system, and we're working with two different business models. One is to out-license the specific technology to companies, and one is to actually run our own product projects using the PharmaShell technology and improving already marketed products. So the technology as such it's a dry phase process that actually encapsulates APIs by adding an extremely thin shell on top of API particles. And the particles are so small that they can be injected in a suspension. So they're typically like micrometers in size. And we add a maybe 10 to 50 nanometers thick shell on top of that, with an inorganic oxide that will dissolve extremely slowly. And that slow dissolution is actually what controls the release of the API. And by that we can shift, for instance, like you see here on the left-hand side, the 7 peaks of a product that is now used for the treatment of myelodysplastic syndrome. We can exchange that with just one injection. I will come to that. That's actually our next 18 project that we run. And we have another project also that we have started, and that's the next 20, which is a product aimed for improving the treatment of multiple myeloma. And looking at our project portfolio today, we have 2 products of our own, where we take the first one into clinic right now. We have just started the study in Stockholm, in Huddinge, Karolinska. And next 20, we're taking that through ALD process development into formulation development this year, and also preclinical testing in animals. And we aim for taking that to phase 1 next year. And we also anticipate to start a third project this year, next 21, and we will come back to that later this year, what that will be. We have a number of collaborators as well, AstraZeneca being one of them, where we currently do animal studies and formulations together with them. We have another number of partners that we work together with also regarding formulation of their APIs. And we actually started another one early this year, where we're actually taking that that will actually go into animal study pretty soon. So that's moving fast, actually. So we do that, like I said, we're working in a market that is growing tremendously from about 500 billion US dollars to about 900 billion US dollars in a few years. And it's growing in many different indications, and specifically maybe in the oncology indication where we have our 2 projects right now. But there are, of course, other indication areas that are very, very interesting as well. So we're working with 2 hematological cancers, myelodysplastic syndrome for NEX-18 and multiple myeloma for NEX-20. And we're working with 2 different APIs, azacitidine and lenalidomide. They're both backbone treatment of these illnesses, and have a steadiest growth actually from now and also onwards, even though the patent is going off, the products are going off patent. But you see the numbers here and the market numbers are quite tremendous. So looking then at different stakeholders and what's driving the market to grow in such a way. We have the patient groups that are looking for solutions where they don't need to take a pill every day. They don't need to be reminded of being ill. So that's actually a big group and an influential group, specifically I'd say in the US. We also have FDA who's actually promoting these type of developments to, and they've actually written a guidance called the patient-centric product guidance. We also have the healthcare systems that can save a lot of money by using long-acting injectables, and long-acting injectables that are very, very tightly controlled, that we can do with our PharmaShell technology. And then last but not least, the payers, they are very interested in these type of products. And we've actually talked with I think it is 6 or 7 insurance companies in the US for our NEX-18 product. And they're really in favor of that product profile, taking away 7 injections and exchanging that to just 1 injection will save a lot of money. And by that, we can actually also work with a premium price setting on that product. Looking then at the global industry, what are their thoughts and so on regarding drug delivery and specifically the PharmaShell technology? And working with long-acting injectables, they can of course differentiate their product pipeline, and by that increase the revenue stream, of course. And they can also look at long-acting injection products to complement their existing formulations and adding on patent protection. The nice thing here is that our patent is a patent that will have protection at least until 2033 and probably much later as well, longer as well. So adding our technology to an API that doesn't have patent protection will actually give it patent protection for as long as we have patent protection for our technology. So that is of course really interesting. And it will also enable to make products out of APIs where they haven't been able to do long-acting injectable products earlier on, due to the unique properties of the PharmaShell technology. And considering the PharmaShell technology benefits, the key benefits, I would like to lift focus on 3 of them. It's number 2 actually here, control of initial drug release. If you think of that, you should have a depot formulation that should last for maybe a month or 2 months or so. It's really important that the first initial release is not big. You should really need to be able to control the initial release. And in many other depot formulation technologies, we have problems with that. That could be up to 30% that's released the first day. We have the possibility to reduce that to almost nothing. So that's extremely important. The high drug load is also something that's extremely important, and we have extreme numbers, I'd say here, up to 80% and maybe sometimes even higher. Normally one see numbers like 30% or 40% here. So that is something that enables you to have a very low injection volume, and that's really important for having a very good and useful product. The third one that I would like to address here is the in situ stability, where we actually are very, very unique. And I would say we are the only technology that can enable you to have a protection of the compound as you have injected it in the body. So what we do then, by building this totally tight shell on top of APIs, the particles reside like this until it is opened and the product is released. So the particles with the shell is intact throughout the depot length of the product. And that's very, very important. And specifically, if you talk like a product like our Nex-18 product, where we work with azacitidine, that should not be possible with any other drug delivery system, I'd say. So these are some results from in vivo animal studies where we've injected suspensions of our particles subcutaneously into rats. And you can see that on the left-hand side, you have particles that have not been coated with the pharma shell. And the exact same dose and exact same particles, except that they have the pharma shell coating on top of it. You can see to the right side here, it gives about a 10-week depot. And if you add on in dose, higher and higher doses, one can even think of maybe a half year or year-long depots. This is what I talked about with using for the initial burst. The highest curve here, the blue one, is what you normally see in other drug delivery systems. You have a quite high initial burst, initial release, but we can take it down to, in the bottom here, 2% of the total dose the first 48 hours. And that is considered being no initial burst at all. So that's extremely, extremely important. What is also important is that we can work not only with small molecules, but also with biologics. And this is an example of a peptide that we work with together with one of our collaborators. They wanted to have a 1-week depot of that peptide, and this is what we have actually achieved. These are 3 different shell materials on top of the same peptide. And to the left, you can see that it drops down out of the plasma within less than a day and maybe half a day without our shell material. And with about 10 nanometers thick shell, we can create a 1-week depot. So this is Nex-18, the MDS product, where we actually then exchange the seven doses to just 1 dose the first day of a treatment cycle. And the treatment cycle in this indication is 28 days. So the patients come in for 1 week, every day 1 week, to get an injection. And then they rest for 3 weeks, and then there is 1 week with treatment again. And this is, of course, extremely cumbersome for people, specifically elderly people that also need assistance to come to the hospital. So the elderly people's children and so on needs to help to take the patients to the hospital and back and forth. And you can think of how cumbersome that is. So we will save a lot of money for the healthcare system, and a lot of time for the patients, and give them back some quality of life. So this is really important. The development timeline for that project that's the project that we have now taken into clinical phase 1. We aim at going into proof of concept by next year, and actually finishing that proof of concept study by 2023, first half of that. And then we are really looking for out-licensing of that project after the proof of concept to big pharma companies, taking it to the US market or to European or Asian market. So we really look forward to taking this project onwards. The next 20 is a project where we simplify the treatment of multiple myeloma. That's actually a 1 day treatment, 1 pill a day treatment today. And one can think of that being really easy to take. But actually about almost 40% of the patients are really poor adherer to the treatment. And that's due to that, to some part at least, due to that the illness as such. You don't really have that many you don't notice that you have your illness, but the medication as such give a lot of side effects like nausea, diarrhea, and so on and so forth. So then people choose to not take their medication. With a once a month injection, they have the treatment taken at the doctor's office and can forget about it until the next month. And to facilitate all this, to start our clinical studies and also to support all our partner projects, we have collaborated now or started a collaboration with Applied Materials, which is a company that supports us with manufacturing equipment for the ALD process. And we are together with them building a new GMP facility in Uppsala at the Pharmacia old site in Uppsala. Well, we actually will take the product up to 3 kilo batches, which is very good, not only for the supply of material to clinical studies, but also to show that this is a process that can be upscaled and to facilitate the upscale into commercial scale as well. So looking at the patent portfolio, I just want to briefly go through this. We have patent granted in the US, Japan, and now also lately in China. We are covering all major markets with our patent applications. We have several applications ongoing and also submitted that will also improve our patent portfolio. But still, it's already now a good portfolio, I think. Looking at value inflection points going forward, I mean, we have the clinical study that we just started, where we will have results in later this year, Q3 this year. We will have the next study started during next year, and we'll also start our first clinical study in multiple myeloma project MNEX20 that will start first quarter next year. And we will have top-line results from the next 18 proof of concept study in 2023. This is, I think, the last slide or the next last slide, just to show we have this is the board of Nanexa, board of directors. We have a very nice and board of directors with a long experience from the pharma industry, headed by Göran Ando, who earlier on was chaired Novo Nordisk, and before that in Glaxo and also in Pharmacia Upjohn. And you see the rest of the members, they have a lot of experience from different companies. And this, I think, is this end slide. This is what I've talked about, our product portfolio, which I think is extremely important. Our partner projects is also extremely important, and they go together, I think, in a very nice way. We have the patent portfolio that's the base for all the business, actually, and we have the GMP scale-up facility that sort of complete the wheel and really makes us a complete company going forward into this journey of building Nanexa. So thank you very much for listening.
Well, thank you, David. And yeah, it's a very interesting presentation. And I'd like to begin by asking, you currently have 2 ongoing projects, and you also mentioned another project, the NEX-21, that is in planning. So I'm wondering, how important is it for Nanexa to diversify its portfolio?
Well, I think it is important to diversify it. To firstly, a third project will add possibilities for future business, of course, and that's important. But also, it's important with having a new drug delivery system like PharmaCell is. It's important to validate it in different areas and different indication areas and different ways of improving the current treatment. Like we have Nex18 taking away 6 of 7 injections for Nex18. For Nex20, we actually exchange once daily tablet with an injection. And the third project, the Nex21, what that will be, I will come back to that. But I think it's important to diversify and also add possibilities for future business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you also talked about the key to having a strong patent portfolio, and you recently received a new patent in China. What are the implications of that?
Well, I think China is becoming more and more important for pharma business as such. And everybody knows China is growing into a huge market, and having a patent in China opens up, of course, for businesses there. And there are more and more big Chinese companies that we meet in partnering meetings and so on. So having a patent there is important for us, absolutely.
And well, finally, to top everything off, what is the one milestone that you are most looking forward to in 2021?
Okay, so that would be in this year. I think it's the results actually from our first clinical study that will make a huge difference, both for that project and also for the partnering discussions we have. If I should choose just one, we have several other ones that are also important, but I would pick that one.
Okay. Well, thanks so much for answering the questions, and thanks for your presentation. And we look forward to following Nanexa in the coming months.
Thank you so much.